Welcome to another episode of URC Chumps podcast. As you can see, I've got Darragh back. Welcome back, Darragh. Hope everything's good
Thanks,
on your side.
thanks, Kirby.
Yeah.
Uh,
Unfortunately, Jock, there's no banter between the two of you. Easing you back
no,
into it.
when you lose by, you know, 54 points, I have the upper hand. Even though Munster lost, I think with the fact that they lost by 54 points and conceded six tries to the same player, I think I have the
And,
upper hand.
and out of the three of us, you're the only one still in the Investec Cup as well.
And we're playing our second side, La Rochelle, for Raj
Yeah,
Raj
that
back.
was a
Although we're going away.
that was a surprising result, the fact that they lost. But yeah, we'll get into it. But since we're talking about it, let's get straight into it. We'll just discuss the results that happened over this past weekend in both the European Rugby Championship Cup and the Challenge Cup. First starting off with the Champions Cup with Ulster beating Exeter, which I actually kind of expected, but at the scoreline of 52-24, I was thinking maybe it will be a little bit more closer considering the class of
Uh,
Exeter this, uh, over the past.
well, Exeter haven't sent over their full team, but I think regardless, they would have been beaten. Exeter have been shocking this season. They've got one win in all competitions. They shipped, I think, in excess of 200 points in the Heineken Cup. They got two hammerings at Sandy Park. They just got battered. There's something going on there. They're not good enough. They did put up a good fight. Half time it was 17 all. Ross Vincent, the Italy number 8, scored an unbelievable try. But then second half, Ulster, about 60th minute, it was 24-17, but then they just try after try after try after try, they just kept snapping them in. Exeter gave up. They scored a try at the end because Ulster dropped the ball in the 22 and Wimbush picked it up. But yeah, Exeter, they knew they probably wouldn't win anyway. So I think they've Saracens at home this week in the Gallagher Premiership. They just gave up, really. They gave up this tie. Ulster
Uh,
snuck through thanks to Jacques Sharks getting a bit of a pasting, but
we'll get to that.
their reward for that is an away trip to Bordeaux, which
We'll
it's
get to that. That's later
it's
on. Uh,
probably it's probably not worth this, but for the fact that Ulster will get a few bob off it. But yeah,
mm,
good win for Ulster, and Izuchukwu is
uh,
the man.
yeah. And then
He's
the
the real
Bulls took
boogeyman.
on the Bulls taking on Stade Francais. I think the Welsh community is still a bit upset that they didn't call up Honeycomb, who was man of the match in that game. From what I saw in the replays, that guy had an absolute bolt of a game. He
Yeah,
was everywhere where he needed to be, and he was definitely putting up his hand. And definitely the fact that he's put on the green and gold has definitely shown his class over this past year right now.
yeah. Well, I watched like the first 60 minutes. The Bulls just steamrolled that. I mean, there was a kind of unfortunate incident there for the first try. I didn't think it was a yellow. I think it brushed off a stab player's hand, and they got a yellow card for the try, which I thought was harsh. But they were just blown out of the water. Hard to go down to South Africa, but manageable. Munster have done it. Glasgow have done it. The Northampton done it there last month. But Stad,
Mm.
they're typical themselves. They could have went through. Now it turns out in the end they wouldn't have went through if they had won, but they could have beforehand. They sent down the second team and deservedly got smashed for it. Bulls, look, they're in the Challenge Cup. I do want to say that fancy their chances, but the travelling will probably kill them. I think they're away to Bayonne in the next round, and then they'd have to keep going away again to get to the final. Won't be
Yeah,
easy at all, but the Bulls have the quality to kind of steamroll. No disrespect, maybe Bath and the Sharks could keep par with them, but other than that, I think they'd blow everyone, even Connacht, out of the water in that competition if they try
yeah.
their hardest.
Then we had Northampton hosting Munster and beating them by 2 points, 34-32. Which, to be honest, as I said before we started, that was a bit surprising. I was expecting Munster to at least take it. Close, close call in my regards. I think I put them up by 5 on Super Brew. But yeah, Northampton taking the W there. Um,
Well,
but
as I said to
yeah,
you, this. when you go away to the champions of England, and you lose by 2 points, there's no shame in it at all. I thought we'd lose by more because as good as the win was against Harry's the weekend prior, we were good physically and defensively, but our attack was shocking. Where we kind of flipped it, I think our defense could have been worked on. We conceded a few soft tries, but our attack, Nash was unbelievable, especially his first try when he just hunted down Mitchell, hunted and hunted and hunted and got the ball. Why you always follow up on a kick chase. And Kilgallen, it was the third try, and I'm sure you saw it, Conor Murray showing his pass, flicking it back inside, out the back of the hand, back to Kilgallen. That was an unbelievable finish. But
Mm.
look, another day we could have scraped it. It's unfortunate because we needed to win that game. If it was any other game, we went away to Northampton and took 2 bonus points, it would be a really good result. But we needed to win it. We didn't. Really, it's the
Mm.
Cass game that cost us. The Cass game before Christmas, where we were shocking and got beat, cost us more than that because there was just one or two areas in that game we could have patched up, but against Cass, there was so many areas we could have done better. But
Yeah.
look, I'll tell you, it's unfortunate because if it went off points system and it went to top eight on points, gets top eight instead of position, we'd have actually finished seventh. We got more points than La Rochelle, who we had to travel to. We got more point. I think we are better points difference than Glasgow and the same amount of points. So we actually would have been the seventh seed if it went off points rather than positioning. But
Yeah. And
it's
then,
the way to go. Way it goes,
yeah,
really.
then we had Clermont hosting Bristol, which was a definite win in my books for Clermont, though I was expecting a little bit more of a runaway. Consistent,
Bonkers.
well, especially with Bristol being
It,
hot and cold, from what I've read. They go on these
yeah,
streaks and then they go on a cold streak.
it,
But
it
yeah.
was bonkers. Claremont scored an 86th minute try to win it. I can't say I watched this game. I watched the highlights back, and yeah, it was just bonkers. I mean, Bristol got a yellow card. Sorry, Claremont got a penalty try. Bristol got a man in the bin. They tossed the kickoff and scored 45 seconds later or something. The game was just nuts, and it was one of the proper scraps of the Champions Cup where both sides need to win. It's the dogfight, and much like the Northampton Munster game was. And yeah, Claremont have been rewarded with going away to Northampton, actually, which, no
Mm.
disrespect, that's probably better than getting Bordeaux away or Leinster away or Toulouse away, but still not easy.
And mentioning the name, you said Leinster. Uh, Leinster beating Bath, which for me was a definite result that was going to go that way.
Yeah.
I see Archie had a game again of notes, which is for South Africans good to see, and everything. As a Munster supporter, you're probably a little bit disappointed the fact that this wasn't how he was when he was with you guys. But the result that shocked me, which was the next one, was the Benetton La Rochelle one. The fact that Benetton beat La
What game?
Rochelle.
Well, I do screen these two as well. I just say something on the Leinster Bath game. Leinster deserved to win, but the French refs, I'd complain about them. Bloody hell! A second yellow for a collapsed scrum is the most dubious, stupid call I've ever seen. Bath played really well, but Leinster, Snyman, yeah, yay, Snyman, yay, he scored two tries, yippee. Moving on, Leinster deserved to win. Well done.
Yeah.
Benetton, unbelievable. Unbelievable. It shows really if you can avoid La Rochelle's power game and Munster take notes, if you can keep them out of scrum and if you don't give away many scrums, you can hit them. You can use your pace to get outside them, and that's what Benetton did. For the Six Nations for Italy, that has to be the best possible result. I'd say Casada was unbelievably happy. All those players now are going into that camp with optimism because they won't play this weekend against the Ospreys in the URC. So they are all going into that camp absolutely bouncing off the walls. So like I don't know. I think there's Scotland and Edinburgh first.
Mm,
I'd watch that
uh,
game. They're all going to be bouncing off the walls. Those boys.
but we will be covering the results and everything and trying to look into it as much as possible. And then the discussion which we can go quickly over racing versus Stormers or racing versus Stormers.
It was close until the 75th minute.
Yes, it was close. I mean, there was a point where I was like, "What the hell?" Then we came back, and I was like, "All right, cool. Now we actually playing proper rugby." And I still remember when I was in my early 20s, we used to we used to say there's a thing called Stormers disease, where Stormers would be in this position and they would just start losing it. And it looks like Stormers disease has come back, and it's something that we need to get over. Um, we looked like we were in good position. We were going well, and then we just started making silly mistakes. And I mean, it's not
Well,
like we can pinpoint it on one person. Everybody was making mistakes.
yeah.
Yet again, Paul de Villiers, what a youngster! I'm so excited. Have you seen that Jonathan Roche guy? I mean, it was his second game now.
Yeah.
He as well, like him and Julie's in the future. Oh, that is going to be one killer
I
center
thought
combination.
I thought your back row were very good. Engelbrecht, Tennyson, and Roos. Apologies for probably butchering the three names.
No, no, you said it right.
Tennyson got an unbelievable try. That try where it was the vet went on the outside and just flicked it back and out to the touchline, and Tennyson ran it in. And that's when I thought Stormers would nick it from there because they had the momentum. Racing were they had Racing by the throat, but somehow they just came back around. And in the end, the one funny thing is it meant absolutely nothing to Racing because they've been dumped down to the Challenge Cup because of other results, which I find very funny. But yeah, I do think the things I'll say about the three South African side is that the Bulls were gone before this weekend anyway, so that didn't matter. The Stormers and the Sharks left themselves too much to do. The Sharks lost at home to Toulouse, you could say fair enough. The Stormers will still were losing at home to Toulon, especially seeing what Sale done to Toulon there last night. I'm sure the Stormers boys are absolutely kicking themselves that they lost that match in Cape
Okay,
Town.
but I mean, in all due respect, that Toulon game, yes, it was hard. We were still reeling with quite a few injuries and everything like that. We weren't playing at home. We were playing in PE or Kapacha, depending how you want to pronounce it, because we had the sevens on that weekend. Um, we did leave it too late, as you said. We threw away games. That one against Harlequins, I don't even know where the team was. I think they were still
Yeah,
thinking they
in
were on
Darragh
holiday.
against Queens.
Yeah.
And for
Uh,
The Sharks as well. Like I know the Sharks got embarrassed yesterday. They got absolutely murdered up at Welford Road as well.
yeah.
And then
We'll get to that.
Yeah, and the Bulls not really last week, they got murdered by Cass, but then they lost it when Northampton went down there and beat them. That's when Bulls were gone. I knew from the second that result went in, they were gone. They were out. They weren't going to come back from that.
Mm. And then we had Harlequins hosting Glasgow and beating them. I mean,
Dis-
Glasgow looked like they had
Disappointed. Yeah,
some
I was
serious thing
disappointed.
in the beginning and then just sat back.
I had to deal with a couple of angry rants in the last few days. Glasgow, they tried to play Quins' game, never works. You can't play
Yeah.
Quins at that quick running game because they are the masters of it. Glasgow did lose Cummings early on, which also may impact Scotland. I don't know how serious his injury is, but if he's gone for Six Nations, Scotland are in huge trouble. But Cummings going off, I think they still should have stuck to the power game, but they didn't. They did try to throw around. Although that third try for Queens was very dubious. Will Evans came in from the side there and passed it to Kane and Murray, who scored. But yeah, the simple note is, and Leinster should take note of this for the Quins game. Don't play Quins in their game. Play them in a power game. Don't play them in a quick
Yeah.
running game. Just get beat.
Then we have the Border Beagles versus Sharks. Sharks started off so well, got to a point, and it just seems like, I mean, that try that Julie set up for Masuka to score, I think that was in the 5th minute or so, like that.
Yeah.
What to have the presence of mind at such a young age to turn around and actually pass it off.
yeah, flick it out the back to.
Yeah,
I don't know who was running. I think it was Ense or Kunese. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Who ran a dummy line? He just flicked it out the back to Masuku, and he just ran around, scored,
yeah.
and
Um,
then he scored a try himself 2 minutes later. Kunese, but his yellow started the downfall, and yeah, I think a yellow was fair. I saw some people saying it was a red. I think it hit just up here first, and it rolled up, but that was the
but
beginning of the downfall.
one thing we did speak about before we started was also Ethan Hooker, the fact that he's also become quite a danger man for the opposition to face up against.
He's very
Um,
physical. I know he's usually a centre, but the fact that he was on the wing, he's a physical threat. I think he won 2 turnovers in the first half, and he's great on the volley ball. So like he's a kid for the future. That guy. I think they should really put time into him and put games into him.
I bet you he's on Rush. He's along with Radar, along with Julie's. My only concern is it's a lot of TMO um like checks up on him because of his hits on a attack that he might be coming in a
Yeah,
bit too high or something like this. Which is a slight concern, but I mean that's something that a little bit of a couple of weeks of training and stuff like that he could probably get out of. But he is definitely someone that scares defense lines because he's going to hit and
yeah.
he's going to go over and everything
But
like that.
the one thing I will say is what would have concerned me from the Sharks' point was a very strong front row of Manuchu, Umbanambi, and Kanye got murdered in the scrum. They got murdered, especially I think they had a shove and they were about 10 meters from their own line, and literally they went up and just drove back by Bordeaux. And
Mm.
so that has to be the main concern because obviously you guys pride yourselves on your scrums, and if your scrum is going up like that and then going back, you're
Yeah.
in serious trouble. And as I said, it was a very strong. I know you're missing Vincent Koch and Shea was on the bench, but still, those are two very good props in their replacement.
Yeah. Uh, then we had Saracens hosting Custers and losing. Thank heavens.
Yeah,
I hate
Cass,
Saracens.
Cass, Cass'
Custers.
first away win in Europe in 12 years. They were unbelievable, and it was a mix of a first and second string side, and their second string boys played unbelievable, especially their centres were unbelievable. But Sarries, as you said, I didn't. You don't know it when I was at home in Park for the Sarries match. You don't know it when you're in the stadium, but when I watched that game back, and you can hear Ben Earl and Itoje and all of them screaming, celebrating when there's a knock on, or I think they screamed over a line out not straight. You lose a lot of sympathy for them when they end up falling flat in their face and losing at home to Castres.
I know I could probably get into a lot of trouble for this, but I hated Toje because Toje always tries and starts trouble with Itzebeth. And Itzebeth always puts him in his place. I think if you go according to the wins and losses, Itzebeth's up. Well, probably I'm probably
Yeah.
being a little bit biased here, but
Well,
I just don't like him. I mean, he
Itoje
got
got a
shut down. He got put down by Damien Delende. Like, how is this meant to be your strongest player because he what's called bench press is the highest amount. I think it was 180 kgs or something like that. But a center gets to push you down and actually makes you look like he's little female dog.
Yeah, well, to be fair, we played them at home last week, Byrne won that battle. It was kind of the battle of who could be the Lions lock, and Byrne destroyed him out of the park last week. Byrne won man of the match, and it felt that this week, although it's Cast's kind of second team, they're huge. They're
Yeah.
unbelievably huge for like a lot of them are 22, 23-year-old kids. They're 6'7", 6'8", and they just bowled over Saracens. They just went over the top of them, and Sarries couldn't deal with it. So Sarries are away in Toulon the next round. Good luck. Good luck because that's it. Although the last team to win in Europe at the Stade Felix Mayol
And when was that?
last season. last season. Actually,
Okay.
we beat them 29. We beat them 29-18. So
So not before you were born. uh,
yeah,
and then
essentially, yeah. I was in the hospital.
um, the game that made the Sharks look at least decent,
Okay,
Toulouse versus Leicester,
I
eighty
that
12.
that was scary. Like I know Tigers were awful, but you can. It doesn't matter how awful your opposition is. If you score 80 points in the game, you should just be banned. Get rid of them. Let someone else have a chance
Did they get
because
go for drug tests afterwards?
I don't know. And the worst thing is, if we were to beat La Rochelle and to somehow win our quarter final, which I think is away in Bordeaux, we'd have to lose. I don't want to play to lose. I just forfeit, lose the game 28-0. That's fine by me. Just don't turn up
I
on the
could be
day
wrong.
because,
Isn't the past like 6 years been a French team in the final?
yes, I think the last time a French team wasn't in the final was 2019, Saracens Leinster.
Okay, so that's nearly 6 years now. But yeah, and then the one that I was very disappointed in the result, and because the team didn't pitch up, was Sale versus Toulon.
Yeah, Toulon.
33-7.
The first half
Why
was,
Toulon? You could have at least given us that after taking out Marnie for a couple of weeks. You could have at least beaten Sale and kept us in the competition. But no, you had to go
yeah,
lose.
Toulon. Toulon basically held on for the first half defensively and went in 7-0 down. And then the second half, the floodgates opened. Sale are very home orientated. I watch a bit of the Premiership, but if you ask any England rugby fan, Sale win pretty much all their home games. I think they're unbeaten at home this season and lose all their away games. They've won one away game in the last two seasons. So
Yeah.
that even you managed to battle them. That just shows everyone beats you nowadays.
Yeah. Um, but then moving on to the Challenge Cup, we'll go through this quite quickly. Newcastle, Montpellier. Montpellier, with the fact that they're losing three South African or three Springboks at the end of the season, is definitely pushing for results. Beating Newcastle 26-7. A URC derby of Cardiff versus Connacht, 1928. I was
I
expecting Connacht to run away with
watched
it.
watched a bit of that game. Cardiff tried to play Connacht at the running game. You can't play Connacht at the running game, boys. Green
Yeah.
and white army. If they get a home, if they beat Cardiff in the next round, they get a home quarter final. I'm going to that game, by the way. So see me there.
Um, very happy that the Ospreys seem to have turned up now because they
Yeah,
beat
they
Power
beat Pau
28-31.
away.
Yeah.
Very hard thing to do. And I saw the Black Feathers podcast was absolutely delighted. And yeah, fair play. That's some goal, some result away in France.
Yeah. Then another URC one of Lions versus Dragons,
Battered
60-10.
Lions. Yeah, the Lions battered them.
Don't the Dragons have the Lions again? Now next
Yeah.
week? We'll
Is it
check
at
up
Rodney
after this.
Parade though? I think it's Rodney Parade because there's no way the Dragons would go down there now because you can't play two games next week, Six Nations after that. So it must be at
Yeah.
Rodney Parade. No, no, the Dragons have played the Lions this season. They played them at Rodney Parade. They won.
Oh yeah. Okay. Um then the Scarlets hosted Vans or
Vaughn.
Venice.
Vaughn.
Yeah, Vaughan. 38 28. Leon
Game of two
destroyed.
halves from what I read. Yeah.
mm, Leon knocked out the Cheetahs 68-21. Edinburgh
Jesus.
beat the yeah. And I watched some of that at work today. Yo, they literally at one point just were running
Did you
tries
see
after
Nina
tries.
Ashvili's try though? Nina Ashvili's try. Oh, that was beautiful. That's the only try I saw from that game. That
Yeah.
was unbelievable.
Edinburgh beat the Black Lions 36-15. Bayonne beat Gloucester 55-17.
Yeah, they got
And
cross.
Zebra lost to Perpignan 21-39.
To be fair, for Zebra, that's an improvement on results because they seem to
Mm.
only turn up when they play us.
Yeah. Uh, do that. But anyway, but I mean that's this one. We'll go on to this week's URC. We'll see. Ospreys kick off this weekend, hosting Benetton on
Hmm.
Friday, my birthday.
It's a happy early birthday to Kirby.
Yeah, on Friday is my birthday.
He's getting younger. He's only turning 19.
36. That's a South African
30.
joke. Go look up all gold tomato sauce advert and you'll get the 36 joke.
Yeah, well, Kirby's turning 19. 19 squared, but
19 times 2 minus 2. Uh, uh,
quick maths, boys.
yeah. Then Glasgow host Connacht. Oh, by the way, I'm going with Ospreys win against Benetton.
I think
Glasgow
Ospreys will nick
versus
it as well.
yeah, Glasgow versus Connacht. I'm gonna actually go
I'm
Glasgow
stuck in
because
two.
they're at home.
I don't I don't win either. I annoy my girlfriend and annoy half my family. I don't win this game. So I'm not making an official prediction.
Okay. Oh, then the Lions are hosting the Bulls at home. A
Um,
Yixsky River derby.
Lions by 4.
I don't know. I might actually go Bulls because they look like if they pitch up the same way as they did this time. And the problem is the Lions haven't looked as dominating, and also the Bulls are a lot more, how can I say, experienced than the Lions.
True, but I just hate the Bulls. So Lions by 4.
Jacques, you hear that? I'm going with your girlfriend. Just FYI, I'm going against
Shock
my
don't hurt.
place of birth.
Shock don't hurt me.
Uh, Scarlets are hosting Edinburgh. I'm probably gonna go Edinburgh with that one.
No, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go Scarlets. They've been very good at home this season. I think they've only lost one home game. Sorry, they've lost two home games. One of them was the Ospreys when Jack Walsh scored that late try. And our Ospreys friends weren't afraid to remind us about that one. Let's just say I got a few messages after us after that one. And off people
Yeah,
I know on the URC group was popping after that one.
yeah. Um, the only team not to beat the Stormers are hosting the Stormers.
The Sharks. No, the
No,
Sharks beat you.
Leinster,
Oh, it's Leinster, yeah.
and we're
Yeah,
playing at
that's
Leinster.
where that's where that ends. That's where that ends. Well, to be fair, Leinster aren't going to have any of their internationals, and ye will probably turn out with a fully stacked side.
But they're gonna have someone like Geordie Barrett, and they're gonna have Arceus Neyman.
Sure, they're only different.
So listen, it's going to be a good game. I'm going to go Stormers. If Stormers win, it's going to be by a minimal margin. It's not going to be like the
I think
usual ones. I still remember the first
I think
season.
Leinster.
Yeah, I still remember the first season. I went into a bar and there was a guy wearing a Leinster top, and I went up to him and I said, "Do you want a hug now or later for the loss?" And he laughed at me. He goes, "Yeah, we'll see." Afterwards, he still found me in the bar afterwards. He's like, "I'll take that hug now after they lost."
Probably they'd lose to
And
us every once in a while. That'd be handy.
and then the next season was also here, and then last season that was the one that Galant did that pop pass to himself while running and
Yeah,
completely.
you drew up in Dublin, didn't you? When you played them up in Dublin, you drew. Was
I
that
can't
two
remember.
seasons ago, or was that last season? I think you drew with them.
No, it was the season before.
Yeah, and then it's the case of the Bulls have done the heavy lift in the two out of the three URC playoff years, where it's the Bulls that keep knocking them out, not you.
Yeah. Uh, then Cardiff are hosting the Sharks. I'm gonna
Ooh,
have to go
I
Cardiff.
think, yeah,
Sharks. I don't.
Cardiff. I think Cardiff are third, are they? They're second. No, Glasgow are second. They're third. So yeah, I think they'll keep that up. They're only playing a
Third.
bunch of
Yeah.
little fellas anyway. They're only playing the fellas who are only tiny anyway.
And then Dragons are going to get smacked at home against Munster.
Monster, monster,
Yep.
monster
And
win.
then we have Ulster hosting Zebra.
Yeah, I mean, Ulster aren't great, but lads, don't do a monster. Just beat Zebra. Come on.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's the the week's what to call it. Um
We recap with two Egypts.
yeah, then we have a nice little break until Feb. So we'll follow up that later.
Six Nations, the best competition in the world, is on.
Oh no, we still have to play week one.
Who cares? Six
Yeah,
Nations,
week
Ireland
one.
versus England, Scotland versus Italy, and France versus Wales. Don't talk to the Welsh people about that game. It's on in Paris. It could be ugly.
I don't know. I've been reading up a bit about the Welsh players. I don't know if it's just hyping up and everything like that, but it looks like they are getting a little bit more serious into their rugby this at the moment.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I
they
was
got Alan
surprised by
Wynne
the selection.
Jones. Not so much, but they got Alan Wynne Jones, not Alan Wynne Jones. Alan
Adam
Jones
Jones.
and what's his name? Fuck, one of the best jacklers of the game, Warburton.
Warburton.
In as
Warburton.
yeah as consultants for the team, which I think is great.
It
That's what I
is
said earlier. Yeah,
it is great, but they're playing France away first, and you can have all the consultants you want, but France are scary because they've got their king back. So good luck.
I was
I won't
listening.
be too bad. Their game really, you say for Wales on Six Nations is Italy. They've Italy in round two away in Rome. That's their make or bust, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because they could cop out England, I suppose, but I
the thing
don't
is,
think Italy.
looking at it, and I'm just talking about, let's say, the top four teams being France, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. I don't think anyone's going to get a Grand Slam this year.
No, because I think we'll beat France at home. But, but, I think Scotland will end their miserable run against us. I think Scotland will beat us in Edinburgh for the first time since 2017.
Yeah, but you see, that's why I say I don't think anyone's going. I'm going to have to see how the first 2 weeks go before I can start pointing to who's going to win. But I don't think anyone's going to get a Grand Slam this year.
Yeah, as I said, I think those two will happen. I think uh, Scotland will lose in Paris. Are they playing in Paris? Yes, they are. I think Scotland will lose in Paris. So I think that'll be the top three. So I think they'll all lose to each other, and England will lose to us in Dublin, and they'll lose at home to
Scotland.
France. And no, I think that they're bound to beat Scotland at some point. Although, yeah, I'd say Scotland to beat them. England don't look like they're up to much. And then
I'll probably say, mm,
Wales and Italy kind of have each other. Whoever wins that game, maybe Italy could cause a stir, beat someone else like last year. They have to host us, and they have to host France. So that's it's unlikely,
yeah.
but they could.
I mean, what England hasn't beaten Scotland in the past 4 years.
Since 2017, they've only beaten Scotland once, and they had beaten Scotland 11 times before that. I think it was running,
But
and then
okay,
It was Scotland a draw. England won in
SAP.
Edinburgh. And Scotland, and it'd be the first time ever they'll do five in a row over England if they win in Twickenham again.
You mean South Africa's B team?
I didn't say that now. I did not say that. You'll get me killed, you will. You'll get me killed. I did not say that. I did
Do-
not say that.
but do you think South Africans have made Scotland better?
Yeah, Sure, as I said, all I can go. I'm quite young, but from
Yeah,
what my childhood, Scotland were so prone to being. They're kind of a bit like now they're inconsistent or less inconsistent. I often remember times Scotland would go and they beat Wales, and that was back when Wales were winning the Grand Slam and winning the Six Nations. Then all of a sudden you'd find them against the worst Italy teams possible. I think one year, 2015, that they beat Wales, who won the Grand Slam the year before, and lost to Italy at Murrayfield in the same year. That was just like what they were like. But there were so many. I remember we beat them in 2015 by about 35 points in Edinburgh. And since then, they've kind of not looked back after it because nobody beats Scotland like that anymore. But I think that was a turning point. We won the Six Nations in Edinburgh on the final day. We battered Scotland. And
yeah.
yeah, that was a turning point. They haven't looked back since. Nobody has given them a hiding quite like it. Although it was since 2016, actually, I think that was another one. I think England buried them at Twickenham or something. I think they beat them well, beat them by about 25 points. Since then, Scotland's biggest losses are by about 10, 15 points, maybe. They don't get buried like that anymore.
But I think, like you're saying that, I think Wales is almost like the new Scotland now.
Yeah,
Uh,
Wales are kind of, although, yeah, I could like, if Wales were to beat someone other than Italy, I wouldn't be surprised. If they were to take England, I think they have England and Cardiff. If they were to beat England and lose to Italy, I would not be surprised in the
mm,
slightest if they were to take England and lose to Italy. Because they are like, as we said, they're like Scotland were 10 years ago, where
yeah.
when they're good, they're great, but they can get hockeys. Like, I
But now
mean, they can go to Paris.
here comes my next thing. All right. If Italy loses to Wales, that's fine. Any of the
Yeah.
other four teams lose to Wales, that is going to be an insult to their rugby. And the other teams are going to smell blood for that.
But I think this year, Italy will back themselves. They have the monkey off their back. I think for years, Italy had the monkey on their back of not winning a Six Nations game because they went so long without winning one. They beat Wales in Cardiff 2 years ago, but the one thing they had on their back then is they hadn't won in Rome since 2013 until they beat Scotland.
Yeah.
Now they have both the monkey off the back. They've won a game and now they've won in Rome. So I think Italy will really look at that Wales game and say they should win. I think they'll fancy. I don't think they'll win in Edinburgh in round one. I think they'll give Scotland the game. I think it'll be close, but I don't think they'll win. They have
But
Wales. That's their game. And the other game I think they'll target. I know it's difficult, but let's go away to Twickenham. Why not? And obviously, I'm not saying they're going to throw away the France or Ireland games. They'll smell blood like they did. They should have beat France last year.
yeah,
So
that was a
they'll
draw.
smell blood. That was a draw, and they missed a kick to win it. So I know France have Japan back, but they'll smell blood against France.
Mm.
Ireland may be a bit of a difficult one. They even with their new rift found not trying to be cocky here. They haven't come close to us still. Last year we annihilated them in Dublin. The year before they kind of got close to us, but we still ran away with it in the end.
But
So I think
that's
really,
why, yeah, that's why I say if any of the, let's say the top four teams lose to Italy, the other three teams are going to smell blood and they're going to go for the kill with that team. So if France
yeah,
loses to Italy, then you're going to find Ireland, Scotland, and England are going to try and kill France at that point. And it's the same with any
yeah.
of the other teams. It's going to become dangerous for any of them. But yeah, we're going to
That
have to
well,
wait and see.
that nearly happened to England. They nearly got the Grand Armand of upsets in round one last year. I was in Italy actually for that game. I was on a trip with my school, and we kind of went into a local town up in the mountains. Now this is northern Italy, so northern Italy is where the rugby's big. Milan and Treviso and Parma, all
Yeah.
these cities are up the north. We went into this kind of pub. They're mental up there in the mount. This is in the mountains. This is in the middle of nowhere. This is about 1,400 meters above sea level. And the funniest thing about it is the commentators. Do you know how commentators try to be on? But not in Italy. Italy scored. They were celebrating. the commentators were screaming, shouting, celebrating when Italy scored. But yeah,
France,
Italy is
golf
turning
clap.
because, as I said, yeah, when I was up there, we went around the town one day, and I was wearing a Munster top, and a fella come up to me, an Italian fella goes, "Munster, Munster and Treviso, yes, yes, go on." He obviously didn't have much English, but rugby is growing over there, and as I was so delighted that Benetton won Saturday night because Benetton are growing. You know, Italian rugby is growing. The first set out in 10 years was against Scotland, and they won. This is a real chance for Italy to kind of, if they can avoid last again, if they can beat Wales or anyone and just avoid last, that's another kick on and kick on and kick on. People are going to put money into them, but they need to keep Zebra alive. They need to keep that
Yeah.
second team. They can't just have one team. They need at least two.
The problem is, if Zebra goes, do you think the cheaters are going to put up their names, make a kick to get it back into? That's the question. Which means we're going to have
They
five.
will, but I don't see how they fit because you know how you can have that system of you go down to South Africa for 2 weeks, you play 2 games, you go back home. Now you're throwing another one into the mix. 3 weeks is a long time to spend in a foreign country for any team, and it's kind of hard to go back down to South Africa again. I don't think they'll put the Shias in. I think the Black
Mm.
Lions could put their name in the mix if Zebra go. But the rumours are that they are going to bring back Aironi, which was the old team. They have spent one season in the Pro 12 before Zebra replaced them, or they're going to set up a team in Milan because apparently Milan is becoming a big hub for rugby. Milan's a huge city. So I think they have a plan if they get rid of Zebra. But what I would do with Zebra is I would move them to Milan because the reports are they're not getting there's not a huge fan base in Parma. They have a kind of loyal, but they're not spread. Parma's a football city and it doesn't have the population to split.
So
Milan has the population to
are you
split.
suggesting like a NFL kind of thing? So like
Yeah,
it
but
used to be like
Parma
the
and Milan
Portland
aren't,
Raiders. Yeah, no, but
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So it used to be like the Portland Raiders, and now it's the Las Vegas Raiders. So
I
instead of
don't
being
think,
the Palmer Zebras, it's now the Milan Zebras.
yeah, I don't think they have a choice really because as I said, they have a kind of hardcore group in Parma. But Parma
Mm.
isn't a big, massive city. Milan's got about 2 million people in it.
Mm.
You know, so you can split a football and you know in Milan is football mad, of course. Everyone's heard of AC and Inter Milan, but
Yeah.
they have the population for rugby, and Italy's national team have played games in San Siro. The one against New Zealand about 15 years ago sticks out. So I would relocate them really rather than just disbanding them because I think that's unfair. So I
Yeah.
would move them.
Fair enough. But moving on to some news, well, below the fact that everybody here in Cape Town is a buzz with Cobus Reinach signing officially for Stormers. The problem against Sale Sharks was Similani really became a big name, and now apparently there's some big clubs hunting his name to go, which would be a huge loss for us, to be honest. Um, like I said, we had Ross that stepped up. Like, oh my lord, what a fantastic inside center. The problem is he's probably going to give Dan Duplessis a hard time for his money. Um, but unfortunately, we've had two international players retire, one from England and one from South Africa. South African being Raymond Rule and Anthony Watson, both due to injuries.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure on the extent of the injuries, but that is what I've recently heard, which is unfortunate to hear that a player has to
yeah.
end on
Well,
basis that they don't want to.
I wouldn't. I'd have seen a lot of Anthony Watson. Obviously, growing up in the Northern Hemisphere, he played for Wasps. He played for teams in England. He played for Bath at one point, and I think he played for Sale. Rule, my outstanding memory of Raymond Rule is to try in the Heineken Cup final against Leinster in 2022, and he was an unbelievable player for a season or two in La Rochelle. He's a big loss. As I said, Anthony Watson, World Cups, the game against New Zealand when England knocked them off their perch. The whole England team was brilliant, but Watson was unbelievable that day. It seemed like that guy couldn't. Every time the ball was picked up in the air, he caught it.
And that's why
And
England lost the 2019 World Cup. Because they
but
beat New
yeah,
Zealand.
they put all their energy into New Zealand, but it was one of the best Rugby World Cup performances of all time. And Watson was a huge part of that. Even up to 2 years ago in Dublin, when England went down 14, Watson was everywhere. He was covering wing and fullback, and that guy caught everything. I mean everything. So he's a real loss to kind of Northern Hemisphere. He's lost to England rugby. He's lost to the Premiership, and he's lost to the Heineken Cup.
Hmm. But yes, we will have a quick video now from Jacques and everything, giving his views on the week.
Evening, gents. As you can see, we hear the rugby. I hope you can hear me properly. This is our forwards doing some scrum drills. But if I have to go for the for the Sharks game, we don't want to talk about it. It was a horrible game. I don't think the Sharks pitch up for it. So there's nothing to say. It was a pathetic game, and it was horrible. So that was, you just saw our forwards. Here's our back line, doing some proper passing drills, making sure everything is fine, making sure everybody can pass. So yeah, that's my little part of the game. It's I'm still crying. Sharks were pathetic. Got nothing else to say. Cheers.
Thank you, Jacques, for that.
Yeah. He had one word to describe it in the group chat. I won't repeat that word, but
Disgusting.
it was blunt. It was blunt. It was
Pathetic.
profanative. Profanative. It was bad language, but it was blunt, and it was probably correct.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just having a quick look. I'm just trying to remember. No. I asked him. He says pathetic. The word you thinking of was when he was asking whether or not the Toulouse Leicester result was the correct thing.
No, I was thinking of the word when you asked him to see if he would put a video in. He said one
Yeah.
word, and it was not great.
Yeah,
Or
no,
am
no.
I
He said,
thinking?
I said, can you just give us a voice note on his views? He says, I can tell you now, pathetic.
I'd
The
have used
other
a bit
one,
more colourful language. Yeah.
you said great oversight. I was like, you're bluntly to the point. And then he asked about the other result, and that's when he used that word that we cannot repeat on this platform.
Oh
Any
yes, yes,
platform.
yes. No, that's not
Yeah,
safe for the kids. Not safe for the
yes.
kids.
But my fellow champions, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Share this out. Let's grow this community bigger. Darragh, it's so awesome to have you back, bud. It's awesome to see you and everything.
Thanks, bud.
We did really miss you. I've had a few people here in South Africa asking when you're coming back, and it's glad that I can say you are officially back.
Your little Paddy Bach is back.
Our little leprechaun.
Don't you start now on 6 foot. But far from a leprechaun. Your little good luck charm.
Yeah. So anyway, it's great to have you back. Hopefully next week, after the
We'll have
festivities that are starting from
the
tomorrow.
greatest trio. Mr. David will make his unceremonial return, hopefully with another Sharks loss. Come on, Cardiff.
Yes. But anyway, guys, better champion. Stay safe. Be good. Cheers.